Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 2026 CLAIR Forum. My name is Georgia Ramsey, and I'm a Research and Liaison Officer at the Japan Local Government Centre, also known as CLAIR Sydney. I will be leading today's proceedings. First, I would like to make a few housekeeping announcements. The emergency exit and stairs are located next to the lifts outside. In the case of an emergency, UTS staff will give out instructions. If you need to use the bathrooms, they are located on either side of the lifts. As you exit this room, you will find the ladies' restrooms on the right and the men's on the left. A disabled accessible bathroom is also available behind the ladies' restroom. If you haven't done so already, kindly switch off your mobile phone or set it to silent mode. My colleague Hiro will be taking photos throughout the event. Some of these photos may be shared on our Facebook page, used in our newsletter, or featured in a future forum flyers and other materials. If you do not wish to have the photos of yourself made public, please let us know. This year's forum is divided into two sessions. In the first session, we will hear from our three presenters, Yuki, Ryosuke, and Daniel, who's joining us online. After their talks, there will be a 10-minute Q&A session. We will then take a 20-minute break before moving on to the second session of the program. In the second session, we will hear from Natsuki and Brendan, followed by a 15-minute Q&A session. During this session, please feel free to ask questions related to all presenters' speeches. For those who are joining us online through Zoom, the webinar will be recorded and uploaded later. If you do not wish to be recorded, we kindly ask you to keep your camera off. There will also be a 20-minute break from 3:10 p.m, so you are welcome to leave the Zoom webinar and return by 3:30 p.m. For those attending in person, please feel free to help yourself to the drinks at the side of the room. As our Japanese presenters are not native English speakers, we kindly ask that you be mindful of the potential language barrier when asking questions and to please speak slowly to ensure everyone can follow and understand. Now I would like to invite the Executive Director of the Japan Local Government Centre, CLAIR Sydney, Ms. Yuko Mitsunaga, to officially open the proceedings and introduce this year's theme. Please join me in welcoming her to the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Yuko Mitsunaga, the Executive Director of CLAIR Sydney. And thank you very much for taking the time to attend our forum today. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and pay my respect to the elders, both past and present. I would also like to express my sincere gratitude to Professor Carol Mills and Ms. Tish Greeners and Ms. Prudence Granger and the team from UTS for their invaluable efforts in organizing this forum, as well as to our guest speakers, Mr. Daniel Cobb and Mr. Brandon Sipley, for preparing today's presentation. We are incredibly fortunate to have them with us to share their valuable insights. To begin with, I would like to briefly introduce our organization. CLAIR, which stands for the Council of Local Authorities for International Relations, was established in 1988 as a joint organization of all local governments in Japan. Our mission is to deepen and support exchanges between local governments in Japan and those around the world. CLAIR Sydney covers Australia and New Zealand, and together with Japan, local governments in all three countries face many common challenges as the administrative bodies closest to residents, including waste management and disaster management, which were the themes of this forum over the past 2 years. This annual CLAIR Forum, co-hosted with UTS, aimed to share case studies and exchange ideas on how local governments across our three countries are addressing these shared challenges with the ultimate goal of improving local governance. This year, we have chosen the theme of sustainable and thriving communities. In recent years, Japan, Australia, and New Zealand have all experienced population concentration in major cities, while regional areas face urgent challenges related to the population. In response, local governments in both Japan and also Australia are implementing various initiatives to ensure that sustainable and vibrant communities can be passed on to future generations. In today's forum, you will hear about initiatives in Japan from three CLAIR Sydney staff members, seconded from Japanese local governments, Ms. Yuki Miyauchi, and Mr. Ryosuke Tabuchi, and Ms. Natsuki Nishizaka. And you will also hear about initiatives in Australia from Mr. Daniel Cobb and Mr. Brendan Sipley. For context, Japan's local government system consists of 47 prefectures as upper-tier municipalities and approximately 1,700 cities, towns, and villages as basic municipalities. Each prefecture contains multiple municipalities. Today, CLAIR Sydney will present two examples from prefectures and one example from municipalities. We hope that today's presentation and discussion will provide meaningful opportunities for local governments from our three countries to share valuable insight and learn from one another. Furthermore, this year, 2026, marks the 50th anniversary of the signing of the Basic Treaty of Friendship and Cooperation between Japan and Australia, a significant milestone for both countries. I sincerely hope that today's forum will further strengthen our long-standing relationship of friendship and cooperation. Thank you very much for your attention, and I look forward to today's discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Mitsunaga. Next, I am pleased to introduce our co-host and facilitator of this forum, Professor Carol Mills. Carol is the Director of the Institute for Public Policy and Governance at the University of Technology, Sydney. Prior to her current role, Carol has held a variety of positions both at the state and federal levels of government, working across areas such as community development, arts, policy and administration, sports and recreation, and the environment. I would now like to invite Carol to the stage to share a few words on behalf of the UTS Institute for Public Policy and Governance. Please join me in welcoming her to the stage.
Always have to do that. Thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you again for being here. This is my 6th, I think, CLAIR Forum, and each time I learn something new, so I'm very excited about today's discussion. Before I just say a few words, I'd like to also acknowledge that we are meeting on Gadigal land of the Eora people, and I also pay my respects to representatives of the lands across all the people who are joining us online as well. I'd also like to thank Ms. Matsugana for her kind and welcoming words, and I look forward to building a stronger relationship over the next year as you settle into Sydney. As she said, this forum has been going for quite some time. I think this is our 11th. Each time we discuss a topic that is selected after a lot of discussion, but we've never had a shortage of topics. The discussion isn't about have we got anything in common, the discussion is how do we narrow the topics down for this particular year. And I think one of the real features of these relationships and the sharing of knowledge at this forum, but also continually through the year through CLAIR and various representatives across local government is, despite our differences of scale, we're the big country geographically and we're the small country population-wise in Australia. When it gets down to local communities and when it gets down to the type of challenges that our societies and communities are facing, we share a great deal in common. And what we get from these sessions is very much the opportunity to hear about innovation, new ideas, opportunities for us to actually learn from one another. And I always see these forums as the start of a discussion. The presentations really stimulate our thinking about what can be done, and I'm sure that today's will be just as exciting as all the others, and I look forward to hearing from everyone and for continuing this discussion through the afternoon and hopefully well into the future. So thank you.
Thank you, Carol. We will now begin session 1 of the forum. I'm pleased to invite our first presenter, Ms. Yuki Miyauchi, to the stage. Yuki is on secondment from the Hokuto City Council in Yamanashi Prefecture. and will introduce a project supporting the city's regional revitalization initiatives involving local students. Please welcome Yuki to the stage.
Hello everyone, my name is Yuki Miyauchi. Thank you for coming today. And today I would like to introduce a city-led project connects high school students with local businesses and helps showcase their ideas in real-world business settings. First, let me briefly introduce myself. My career began at Hokuto City Hall, where I worked across various divisions, from community events to elderly care. I saw both the challenges of an aging society and population decline, as well as the great potential of the region. Currently, I am seconded to CLAIR Sydney. In my free time, I enjoy watching movies and trying new food. Exploring Sydney's diverse food culture is one of my greatest joys. In fact, my passion for food connects directly to today's topic. In my hometown, we are using the power of food to revitalize our community. This is a project I am introducing today. Before explaining the project, let me first give you a brief overview of Hokuto City. Hokuto City is a rural municipality in Yamanashi Prefecture. The population is about 45,000 and the land area is 602 square kilometers, roughly the same size as the 23 wards of Tokyo, which have a combined population of about 9.8 million. This means Hokuto has less than 0.5% of that population. Hokuto City is known as a majestic mountains destination, surrounded by peaks over 3,000 meters. It is also highly accessible, just 2 hours from Tokyo by car or train. This combination of natural beauty and accessibility allows visitors to enjoy the city's nature and culture throughout the year, with outdoor activities ranging from hiking and skiing to cycling. Hokuto is Japan's leading producer of mineral water and also enjoys the longest hours of daylight. Annually in the country, this unique combination of pure mountain water and abundant sunlight creates ideal conditions for agriculture. As a result, Hokuto produces high-quality vegetables, rice, and fruits, which form the backbone of the local economy. However, despite these strengths, Hokuto faces serious challenges. Like many rural areas in Japan, Hokuto is experiencing both depopulation and a rapidly aging population. Another major issue is youth migration. There are no universities in the city, so many young people leave for education and employment, and very few return. Even more concerning, many young people are not fully aware of the richness of their own region. This disconnect weakens local industries and communities that depend on them. Faced with these challenges, the city began to reconsider how to move forward. These challenges led us to a guiding principle: revitalization must start from within. We believe that young people should rediscover the value of their own region. With limited financial resources, Hokuto could not rely on large-scale industrial investments. Instead, the city decided to build a system using what it already had: motivated students, passionate local businesses, and unique agricultural resources. So Hokuto City launched the Shokuto Hokuto project in 2018. Since then, it has evolved into a regional revitalization model. It is a low-budget model for small cities. The project uses local resources to create new food products. At the same time, it supports education and the local economy. This is not just a project, it is a replicable municipal leadership model for small cities. So, what exactly is this project? It is a city-led initiative that connects students with local businesses, transforming classroom learning into real-world business experience. Through this collaboration, students and businesses work side by side to turn ideas into real products. Working together, they develop original food products using Hokuto's local resources and build entirely new brands from their ideas. The project is called Shokuto Hokuto, and the name is a wordplay. Shoku means food. Hokuto is the city's name, and the second character, to, means end. Together, it forms food and hooked, a phrase that rhymes with the city's name. And all products developed through this project are required to display this official logo. And by attaching a unified logo, we aim to strengthen brand recognition and establish Shokuto Hokuto as a trusted regional brand. This visual identity connects different products under one concept and enhances the overall value of the project. Here are some examples. For instance, the gelato called Star Night Parade uses local blueberries, milk, and red wine, all signature ingredients of our region. The Seishan curry, meaning youth curry, is a butter chicken curry incorporating hooked blueberries. And thus, Japanese sweets use locally produced soybean flour and feature a custom character stamp designed through this project. These products are not one-time experiments. They continue to be sold today and have become core products for participating businesses. What makes this project unique lies in its structure. First, students cover the entire business cycle. From idea to sales, they experience the whole process. Second, the products are sold in real markets. This is not a classroom exercise, it is real economic activity. Third, the city acts as a neutral platform connecting stakeholders. Fourth, the project has continued since 2018. It is not a one-time initiative, but a long-term model. Over time, this collaboration has become a sustainable local system. This project benefits three groups at the same time, creating a genuine triple win model. For local businesses, it brings fresh ideas from a youth perspective. It supports the development of new products and opens doors to new markets. It also strengthens connections with other local businesses. For the city government, it enhances regional branding. It supports human resource development and it contributes to a more sustainable local economy. For high school students, it provides practical business experience. It also fosters career awareness and local pride. Let me briefly explain how the project is structured. In total, there are 8 groups, each consisting of 4 to 5 students and 1 local business partner. Students first participate in pre-learning sessions, where they learn about Hokuto City's tourism resources and agricultural products. They then take part in 7 structured workshops, guiding them through concept development, site visits, testing sessions, packaging design, and final presentations. In the final stage, students engage in real sales activities in multiple markets. in Hokuto City within Yamanashi Prefecture, in the Tokyo metropolitan area, and online. The city government plays a central role in coordinating and facilitating the project. It connects high schools with local businesses, identifies and recruits participating businesses, organizes workshops and sales events, and secures the project budget, about 13,000 Australian dollars for the fiscal year from April 2025 to March 2026. Without municipal coordination, this collaboration would not be sustainable. First, the city ensures fair participation and equal opportunity for local businesses. Second, it balances educational objectives with commercial sustainability, so that learning outcomes and business viability go hand in hand. Third, it maintains long-term continuity and keeps stakeholders motivated year after year. Fourth, the city provides strategic matching between high school and local businesses. Most importantly, it acts as a neutral and trusted platform. In short, this ecosystem functions because of the city's public role. Now, let me share some of the key outcomes. Since its launch in 2018, the project is now in its 8th year. The project has involved 319 students who, in collaboration with 19 local businesses, have developed 95 original products. Official sales events alone have generated over about 30,000 Australian dollars in revenue, attracting around 2,000 visitors. This figure does not include ongoing sales in local stores and other distribution channels. These outcomes demonstrate that youth business collaboration, when coordinated by local government, can serve as a sustainable local economic model. From an educational perspective, the project has influenced students' career paths. Many have gone on to study marketing, business, food manufacturing, or hospitality. Some have even chosen careers in the public sector in Hokuto City, or careers rooted in their local communities. Local businesses have shared powerful feedback about the project. For example, one said, "Students gave us ideas we never would have imagined." Another shared, "These products have become core items for our business." And one more mentioned, "Our networks have grown stronger." Looking ahead, we will focus on 4 key directions: increasing the number of participating students and businesses, strengthening the brand, long-term human resource development, and building local earning power. This initiative also contributes to several SDGs, particularly Goal 4, Quality Education, Goal 8, Decent Work and Economic Growth, Goal 9, Industry, Innovation and Infrastructure, Goal 11, Sustainable Cities and Communities. To conclude, here are the key lessons from this project. Youth are assets, not just recipients of support. Education and the economy can be directly connected. Even a small budget can create significant impact. This model is highly transferable to other regions. Most importantly, local government can act as an innovation platform. Our goal is to create a community where people want to live and return to. Thank you very much for your attention today.
Thank you, Yuki, for your presentation. Next, I would like to introduce Mr. Daniel Cove, Director of Cultural and Community Services at Bathurst Regional Council. Today, he will present an overview of the initiatives that Bathurst Regional Council have implemented to maintain a sustainable and thriving community. Please welcome Daniel, who is joining us via Zoom.
Well, it's wonderful to be here. I will start by saying, unfortunately, I am having some technological issues at my end, which means I can't hear or see anyone in the room. So I feel like I'm talking into a vacuum. My apologies for that. But I'm delighted to be here and to be just giving a quick presentation on the challenges of becoming a sustainable and thriving regional city from the perspective of local government, and what perhaps that means and what some of the key issues are. So my role, I'm currently the acting general manager of Bathurst Regional Council. My regular role is as the director of cultural and community services. My background, however, is in tourism and in events, and particularly in ecotourism. Prior to my job in local government, I was actually the manager of a major environmental tourist attraction, the Jenolan Caves in the Blue Mountains region of New South Wales. Managing the environmental attraction gave me what I think is an interesting perspective on the concept of sustainability. Sustainability was a critical environmental consideration, and it meant many things. It meant obviously maintaining the environment, the sustainability factor, the carrying capacity, the balance that one needed to attain. But there was more to it. There was also the financial sustainability that was required, the need to generate revenue for reinvestment in the environmental resource. And I think what I really learned was that sustainable was not a one-size-fits-all definition. I managed a cave system. All caves are different, have very different environmental parameters. One cave could take 100,000 visitors a year without harm. Another cave would be damaged beyond all repair with 10 visitors. There is a relevance to local government, I think, and local communities, because I think communities are the same in that although they share many similarities, in critical ways, every community is very different. And I'm always wary of narrow definitions of what constitutes sustainable and by extension, what constitutes thriving. And I firmly believe that they actually need to be the outcome of a robust conversation, a process between council and the community, which takes into consideration a great many factors: environmental, financial, social, and others. It's really hard, but the Bathurst experience right now demonstrates why that can be critical, I think, to sustainable and thriving communities, which I will come back to. Next slide, please, if we can change. So just very quickly, the Bathurst region itself is roughly 3 hours and 180 kilometres west of Sydney. We are on the lands of the Wiradjuri people. Bathurst was the first European inland settlement, settled in 1815. It has a population of approximately 44,000, and it is a growing population. It's growing steadily at about 1.4%. And that, I think, is one measure of what we might call thriving. So I'd like to talk a little bit about how we arrived at that position and how we attempt to maintain that position as well. Now, if I could have the next slide, which hopefully is showing that we have a strong connection as well to Japan. Bathurst has had a sister city relationship with Okuma in the Fukushima prefecture for 35 years. It was formed in 1991. It's a deeply meaningful relationship to the people of Bathurst. There have been multiple visits between the elected officials of Bathurst, the mayor and councillors, to Okuma, and also visits from Okuma to Japan, Okuma to Bathurst. The value that the community of Bathurst has for the relationship was never more evident than in 2011, the terrible time of the Great East Japan earthquake, which obviously so deeply affected Fukushima. The people of Bathurst were intensely moved, and there was a massive upwelling of support. It's, I think, a wonderful example of what you might call city-level diplomacy. Even today, last week, we had 119 school students from Toyo High in Tokyo visit us. And next month in March, we welcome 3 delegations from Okama, including school students, university students, and the mayor and council. Next slide, please. So moving on to the community of Bathurst, one interesting question is why we have a sister city relationship with Okama. Okama chose Bathurst through a process, and it was chosen for its sense of community, as well as for certain common aspects between us and from Okama. And it leads to an interesting question, I think, when you're considering sustainable, thriving regional centres. It's a very reasonable question to take an outsider's view and ask why you would choose a certain place. Why would someone choose Bathurst? There's a couple of parts to that question. One question is asking why anyone would visit in the first place. That, I think, is always important for any town, city, region to ask because of a couple of things. One, the visitor economy is a very important economic consideration to a region. And also because no one wants to live somewhere that they have not first wanted to visit. Why would you relocate to a region? Moving is a very big decision. And of course, we want to attract people to Bathurst. The previous speaker, Yuki, talked about the challenges of regional decline. It's very real across New South Wales. So what would drive the decision to move to a regional centre, and what can we do to positively impact that? Noting that we want a positive internal net migration, and that at the moment we have one. Bathurst is one of only 2 cities in regional New South Wales that do have a positive annual internal net migration. And the third question, which the previous speaker also talked about, is why would you stay? And that is a question that is particularly relevant to youth. It's critical for us to retain and attract young people rather than to accept an inevitable drain to the cities. So on to the next slide. The answer to all 3 of those questions is usually summed up as this concept of livability or lifestyle. It's a very broad concept. It could be summarized as being that Bathurst is a nice place to live. But of course, there are lots of nice places. So we have to ask ourselves, what is the distinctive difference? How can we define what makes Bathurst livable? I think Yuki actually said one definition, a community where people want to live, which is absolutely right. So why do they want to live there? Well, the next slide. A part of the reason can be defined through developing a destination brand. Once again, regional branding was discussed in the last presentation, and I think it's critically important. It's important for tourism and destination marketing, but I think that it's critical that a place brand is one that is co-designed and one that is owned by the local community. And it's more than just a reason to visit. It's a statement of what is a community's values and what defines us. So in the case of Bathurst, we had a conversation with our community in 2017 to try and determine what are our values, what best defines the Bathurst region. And we came up with 6 elements. The heritage of the area, that Bathurst is integral for arts and culture, that it's a very events-based city. We have a huge calendar of community and destination events. It has an excellent food and wine base. It's a wonderful regional centre, outdoors and active is one of our pillars. And it is a place, a community where people do want to live. It's a lifestyle-based community. That last point, lifestyle and livability, is quite unusual for a tourism brand, but I think it's critical for a place brand. On to the next slide. As I mentioned, tourism is critically important In part, it's for the economic benefit. It's worth about $400 million to the Bathurst local economy. We get about 1.3 million visitors a year, and it employs almost 1,000 locals. So critically important, but we see tourism as a gateway to relocation. And our statistics very clearly show that those who move to Bathurst, who relocate here, are always from precisely the areas that we target for our tourism marketing. So, if you will, it's a try before you buy concept. So that's critically important to maintain our population, but also to diversify it. So looking at the next slide, it's important to note that Bathurst is becoming an increasingly rich and diverse city culturally. At our recent Australia Day ceremony, just as an example, we had our highest ever number of new citizens, 78, and they came from 19 different nations. And then this feeds back into our place brand. And later this year in November, we'll for the first time be hosting a multicultural festival in Bathurst known as the Kaleidoscope Festival. Next slide, please. So that takes us to the question of why you would stay and the challenge of youth, which is obviously a common challenge. Yuki spoke of that in the previous presentation. So we're succeeding in attracting people. What about retaining them? How do we not lose our young, talented, energetic people? In part, I think there are some simple responses. We try as much as possible to provide them with opportunity, including, of course, employment opportunity. But we also provide opportunity across many other areas. We don't want people to have to travel for opportunities in cultural expression, in sporting events and activities. And we want to try and as much as possible engage with the youth. Youth can, I think, quite rightly feel excluded or marginalized. Hence, in Bathurst, we engage the youth through an active youth council and a youth network. We make sure that they are represented in planning of events, in the development of our community strategic plan. And indeed, this year we are developing a new specific youth strategy and have just employed a new position as a youth and families officer, seeking to give youth a very strong voice in the community and to make sure that they are empowered. Almost there. Next slide. I think there are a number of genuine challenges across all regional areas, and none of this is easy. We have to set expectations, but then we have to meet and to exceed them, which is why that brand is so important and why constant reassessment of it is equally important. I mentioned the addition of a multicultural element. It's all about not pretending to be something we're not, and in maintaining our own authenticity, which I think is one of the real key drivers of relocation and the key to what has been our success recently. But there's all sorts of other ongoing challenges, which I believe are common to us all. Competition with other regional centres, questions of connection and connectivity in regional areas, whether that's transport or digital connectivity. And of course, one massive problem that all councils across New South Wales and I dare say across Japan face as well is funding. The enormous problem of declining revenues and swelling costs, particularly with growing population bases. And a common problem I think we all face in the regions is that councils often take on the role of provider of last resort and do a little bit more than otherwise would be the case. There are certainly opportunities though, just moving to the next slide. In a cost of living crisis, regional areas are cheaper, that can be attractive. You can have more of a life for less money. There can be a strong educational sector. We have that in Bathurst. We have a university, Charles Sturt University, and our growth can be sustainable. We can still manage it strategically so that the growth doesn't change the essential characters of the region, the essential characters of Bathurst. So last slide, just in summary, back to sustainable and thriving. What do these terms mean? We have common definitions, I think, which work up to a point, but going back to the environmental example of my earlier career, I think community sustainability is unique because communities are unique. They're ecosystems, and that was a term that I also heard in the last presentation, which is a common theme. I think it's an appropriate term. Like a natural ecosystem, a community is made up of component parts that are intimately connected. I think that might sound academic, but it can really matter in practice. You can discuss the context of making connections between youth, education, business. Another example might be if a destination brand tries to project values that are imported or aspirational rather than shared and loses authenticity and the ecosystem breaks down. And one current very, very topical example for Bathurst is the question of financial sustainability. Bathurst is in a very challenging financial position. We need to chart a course towards long-term sustainability, but before we can, we need a clear understanding of what sustainability looks like for Bathurst, not for anyone else, which is a distinctly local government phenomenon, I think, really, in that financial sustainability isn't really an end. It's a means to an end, which is the council requires to provide the services and maintain the assets the community needs. And if we can do that, we arrive at intergenerational benefit, which is an end we might define as thriving. And if Bathurst is thriving now, which I think it is, it's because really hard conversations have been had around what Bathurst, how it should look, how it should feel, and how it should look into the future. I like to think that the way it looks now was never inevitable. It's the result of some very strong conversations between councils and communities over many years, making conscious choices about whether or not to build cultural facilities or sporting fields or to invest in education. It's all hard. The conversations are always hard and there are disagreements, but I think it's critically important that a local government agency, a council, can seek to bring alignment with its community on a common goal, and after that, argue about how best to get there. So to me and to Bathurst, sustainable and thriving is a concept that sounds very simple, but actually it's quite complicated to define. I think sustainability needs to be considered subjectively in the context of place and people, and that thriving communities, of which I like to think we are one, are ones that have considered sustainability appropriately and made conscious decisions to work towards it. Those that understand the challenges and obstacles, which develop and deliver genuine strategic approaches to confront them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daniel, for your presentation. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Ryosuke Tabuchi, also known as Ryan, to the stage. Ryan is on secondment from the Ehime Prefectural Government and will share his perspectives of sustainable tourism and local economic development through cycling along the Shimanami Kaido, a scenic route connecting Japan's main island of Honshu with Shikoku. Please welcome Ryan to the stage.
Thank you, Julia-san, for introduction. I'm so nervous because it's my first time giving a presentation in English. Yeah. So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ryosuke Tabuchi from CLAIR Sydney, and I'm delighted to be here today. Today, I would like to share how Ehime Prefecture in Japan has advanced sustainable regional growth through cycling. And before we dive in, let me briefly introduce myself. I am originally from Ehime Prefectural Government. And Ehime is located on the island of Shikoku in western part of Japan. I work for the Ehime Prefectural Government, and I am currently seconded to CLAIR Sydney. In Ehime, I have worked in several policy areas, including the promotion of cycling tourism and public health related to COVID-19. I came to Sydney with my family, and outside work, I enjoy great coffee and saunas. On weekends, my family and I sometimes visit Wildlife Sydney Zoo to see the koalas and kangaroos. We have enjoyed settling into life here in Sydney. So now let's begin. This is where our story unfolds, the Shimanami Kaido. Stretching across the calm waters of the Seto Inland Sea, it links a chain of small islands between Ehime and Hiroshima. These waters are known for their gentle climate, peaceful scenery, and quiet island communities that have lived in harmony with the sea for generations. The route extends approximately 70 kilometers, connecting 7 spectacular bridges and 6 beautiful islands. Cycling here offers a rare opportunity to experience the quiet, authentic character of Japan. Today, it is widely regarded as a world-class cycling destination. However, this was never the original plan. The route was developed as a lifeline for island residents, ensuring safe and reliable transportation between the island. In response to local requests, a dedicated cycling and pedestrian path was constructed on the bridges, separated from a motorway. And this is where the story truly begins. Ehime Prefecture began to look at this infrastructure from different perspectives. We recognize the potential in cycling, its ability to improve health and well-being, strengthen local economies, bring communities together, and support environmental sustainability. Identifying this potential was only the beginning. The next step was to define a clear vision from cycling tourism to sustainable regional growth. We positioned cycling not only as tourism, but as a regional development strategy. To turn this vision into reality, both hard and soft policy measures were pursued in parallel. First, in terms of hard policy, we invested in safe and comfortable cycling environments. In addition to the dedicated cycling path, the Blue Line navigation system was introduced. The Blue Line clearly guides cyclists, indicates distance to landmarks, and ensures that even first-time or international visitors can ride with confidence. In terms of soft policy, we focused on branding and promotion. A flagship initiative is Cycling Shimanami, an international event held every 2 years. It is the only large-scale cycling event in Japan where participants can ride on a closed-off motorway. Cyclists from across Japan and around the world come together to experience the scenic landscape and engage directly with local communities. The next event will take place this October, and we would be delighted to welcome you to Shimanami. I've also brought some brochures today, so if you're interested, feel free to speak to me afterwards. In addition to major infrastructure and events, a wide range of complementary measures has been introduced, including cycling schools and the promotion of e-bike use. Together, these initiatives help cultivate a safe and enduring cycling culture. And these public initiatives stimulated private investment. New accommodations, cafes, and cycling-related businesses have emerged throughout the region. A symbolic example is Wakka. It is a comprehensive cycling tourism facility offering accommodation, bike services, guided tours, and community engagement spaces. More than business, it functions as a hub connecting visitors and local communities. So what we have seen so far reflects an important dynamic. The public sector provided the stage. The private sector created the value. Visitors and communities enrich the culture. Over time, these forces reinforce one another, creating a cycle of long-term regional development. As a result, the Shimanami Kaido gained international recognition. It has been featured by CNN Travel, Lonely Planet, and BBC Travel as one of the world's great cycling destinations. Evidence supports this transformation. The number of annual rental cycle users doubled between 2012 and 2019. More importantly, the share of international users increased significantly. The red line shows that international users accounted for just 1.8% in 2012. By 2024, that figure had risen to 32.2%. This demonstrates that the Shimanami Kaido has evolved from local infrastructure into a global destination. The impact extends beyond tourism. Imabari City, located in Shimanami area, has ranked first for 4 consecutive years in Japan's best place to live in the countryside survey. Of course, multiple factors contribute to this achievement, but cycling-driven branding has played a meaningful role in strengthening the region's appeal. Our efforts have also fostered international collaboration. In 2024, cycling organizations in Ehime and New South Wales signed a memorandum of understanding. This partnership aims to promote cycle tourism and foster cultural exchange between 2 iconic bridge regions, the Shimanami Kaido and the Sydney Harbour Bridge. In 2027, Ehime will host Velocity, the world's premier international cycling conference. It will be the first time in Japan and only the second time in Asia. This milestone reflects international acknowledgement of Ehime's sustained commitment to cycling. Looking back, the story of Shimanami Kaido represents a transformation from local infrastructure to a global destination, from public policy to a thriving cycling culture, from regional revitalization to sustainable growth. What began as a lifeline for island residents has evolved into model for regional development. The Shimanami Kaido is more than just a bridge. It connects region to the world. It shows how improving everyday infrastructure can unlock long-term potential. Through cycling, Ehime will continue shaping a sustainable future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ryan, for your presentation. We will now move on to a 10-minute Q&A session with our first 3 presenters. For those participating via Zoom, please feel free to submit any questions using the webinar's Q&A feature. We will do our best to address them after responding questions from the floor. Zoom でご参加の方は、ウェビナーの Q&A 機能を使ってご質問をお送りください。会話からのご質問に答えた後に、できる限り皆様のご質問にも対応いたします。So, does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask?
I think one of the common themes that each of you have had is about leveraging what's authentic in your area. So creating sustainability from what is inside the community. And you've all mentioned local government having a role. So I'm just interested in how important was local government in starting the initiative and how important is local government in keeping it going?
I'm sorry, I still can't see anyone. Hopefully I can be heard. I'll have a crack at that one. Certainly from our perspective, local government, everyone has been talking about connection. With local government, in some ways, we're just the glue, I think, that draw all the different pieces together that are simply in the position to facilitate the public discussion, because these things always need to be collaboration. Council is never in a position to simply dictate what is most authentic about the community. The community should speak through council in that sense. And obviously, the other reality is council usually fits the bill. We pay for the consultancy, we pay for the engagement, and we pay for the brand development. Once again, just an example of council leading public policy, working for the public good.
Thank you for your questions. Hokuto City want to make the city to people want to live and people want to return to the city. So Hokuto City make students Hokuto City want students notice the Hokuto City's attractiveness. So city starts this project and city continue to city can
So as much as the city can help to improve the number of residents that come back to US, Hokuto City, that's what the government is aiming to, and they prioritize the attractiveness of the Hokuto City it is. So the students would like to go back to Hokuto City in the future. That's what the government is aiming to. That's why the government is working on this project.
Thank you for your question. That's an important point. From my perspective, one of the government roles is creating momentum and keep it. As I mentioned in my slides, the role of government is creating stage. Yep. So which attract new visitors and new residents, and it boosts the regional appeal. So yeah, it's important to for government to start something like cycling initiatives or things like that.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Peter from Wallumbilla Shire Council, and my question is for you, Ryan. So, for your first time presenting, amazing. I could probably bring you back to our council and you can present to some of our councillors. So, that's good. I have two questions. One, did you bring your bike with you from Japan to Sydney? And where have you ridden in Sydney? And the second point I'd like to ask is around the capital investment that the local government had in those cycling trails and pathways and line marking. Did you have a dedicated budget or capital works program from your local government area?
So first, thank you for your question. First, unfortunately, I didn't bring my bike because it's pricey to bring here from Japan. And so just to confirm, the second question is about budget.
Best budget in the program.
In the program. Okay. So yeah, I don't have exact data about that, but from as far as I know, the Ehime Prefecture invest over $1 million annually, and it including promotion and maintenance in road. Yeah. So, but it depends on the year. I mean, so as I said, cycling Shimanami international event is held biannually. So and this year is this year we host the event, and in this event we invest more than $3 million. So it depends on the year, but in general, we invest more than $1 million in cycling initiatives.
Want to check now.
Hi, Ryan, one more question for you. The cycling stuff's obviously very impressive, and your city is one of the most attractive ones in Japan to live in. Do you still have the same problems that Yuki mentioned in Hokuto with declining population, or have you been able to overcome them with these sorts of initiatives?
Thank you for your question. The short answer is yes. The population of Ehime is decreasing. And yeah, so the reversing the population is whole issue in Japan. So we try to do many initiatives, and the key point is creating value. So the cycling initiative is one of them, but it's really tough issue in Japan. Yeah. So yeah, short answer is yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone for your questions. We'd like to move on now to a 20-minute break and reconvene at 3:30 p.m. For those in the room, please help yourselves to the refreshments at the side of the room and feel free to mingle with one another. And for those participating via Zoom, please feel free to take a break, and then we will see you again at 3:30. Thank you. Welcome back everyone to session 2 of today's event. To begin session 2, I am pleased to invite our next presenter, Ms. Natsuki Nishizaka, also known as Nina, to the stage. Nina is on settlement from the Okayama Prefectural Government and will discuss the Okayama Marathon from the perspective of regional revitalization. Please welcome Nina to the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining today. Today, I would like to introduce initiatives toward sustainable community development in Japan, focusing on a government-led marathon. Before I get into today's topic, let me introduce myself. My name is Natsuki Nishizaka, but please call me Nina. I have been seconded to CLAIR Sydney from Okayama Prefectural Government since last April, so it's been almost a year. Currently, I mainly work on the JET program, which promotes grassroots international exchange between Japan and other countries. Before coming to Sydney, I worked in the department organizing the Okayama Marathon for 3 years, from 2021 to 2023. And today I'll be speaking based on that experience. Outside of work, my hobbies are travel and sports. I love exploring new scenery and trying new things. Since my time in Australia is limited, I try to make the most of it by doing things that I can only experience here, like going to the Australian Open or watching the World Cup live. And I'd love some AFL team suggestion too. I was raised in Okayama Prefecture. Have you ever heard of Okayama? Okayama is located in western Japan between Hyogo and Hiroshima. It is known as the hometown of Momotaro, a famous Japanese folklore hero. This is Momochi, the mascot of Okayama, based on the story of Momotaro. In Japan, almost every local government has its own mascot. Okayama is also famous for its super sweet and juicy white peaches and muscat grapes. It is often called Japan's fruit kingdom. As you can see, Okayama also has many popular tourist spots like beautiful castle and gardens. Now let's move on to the main topic. Today, I will talk about the Okayama Marathon as an example of government-led initiatives toward sustainable community development. The Okayama Marathon is organized by Okayama Prefecture and Okayama City. I will explain this case from two perspectives on sustainability. The first perspective is promoting local identity through regional specialties. In many regional cities in Japan, local food, craft, and landmarks are used to show what makes them different from other areas. Place-based strategies are important for boosting regional identity and attracting more visitors or business. The second perspective is community collaboration for regional revitalization. By engaging local community in events, social cohesion and civic pride can be fostered. Participation makes residents' sense of belonging and shared responsibility stronger. Before going into detail, let me give you an overview of the Okayama Marathon. The marathon started in 2015 and has two events, a full marathon and a 5.6 kilometer fun run. In 2025, the marathon could only accommodate up to 16,400 runners, but there were around 28,500 applicants. Because of this, runners were selected by lottery. About 60% of full marathon participants were from Okayama Prefecture, and 40% are from outside the prefecture. I even heard that there were 1 or 2 participants all the way from Australia. The course starts in the city center, goes through scenic rural areas, and runs along the river and returns to the city center, finally finishing at stadium. Near the end of the race, runners can enjoy views of Okayama Castle and Korakuen Garden, one of the 3 great gardens in Japan. The course is mostly flat and is known as a good course for achieving personal best times. The finish rate in 2025 was 90.7%. At the start and finish area, there is an expo with stage events and stores. In 2025, about 127,000 people visited the venue, and around 113,000 people cheered along the course. The estimated economic impact of the marathon was approximately $19.2 million. Many people are involved in operating the marathon, including general volunteers, medical staff, athletics officials, security staff, and of course, the prefecture and city staff also attend as government personnel. The Okayama Marathon is always popular with runners, as can be seen by their feedback. On a major marathon runner review website in Japan, it ranks highly every year. In 2023, it placed second among races with more than 7,000 runners, who appreciated the cheering, helpful volunteers, and aid stations. I will now introduce some initiatives that contributed to these positive evaluations. Let's talk about the first perspective, promoting local identity. Earlier, I mentioned that I like sports, but to be honest, I'm not really a fan of running. But this year, I've decided to participate in the Gold Coast Marathon. It will be my first full marathon. I decided to join because I want to create a memorable experience during my limited time in Australia. People join marathon for various reasons, such as personal achievement, tourism, or travel. The same event can also help local communities and governments address broader challenges. In Japan, one major challenge is population decline. To respond, local governments aim to make their regions more competitive, boost local appeal, and attract people from outside the region. There are many marathons in Japan, and many are government-led. For local governments, hosting a marathon promotes community health, fosters a sports culture, and brings economic benefits. It's also a good opportunity to showcase regional attractions. Japan is geographically small, but each region has its own unique specialties. To showcase this sense of Okayama-ness, all food offered at the aid station are made with local products, giving the runners a true taste of the region as they race. For example, shine muscat grapes, ramen from local shops along the coast, and traditional sweets made by local companies and offered to runners during the marathon. And this is one of the aid station items, a peach jelly made from Okayama peaches. And the finisher medal is made from bizenyaki, a traditional local pottery. Each piece is handmade and kiln-fired, making every medal truly unique. These initiatives allow runners to experience local culture while promoting a positive image of the region and encouraging repeat visits. They also provide peer opportunities for local businesses. Overall, it's a win-win situation for everyone involved. Next, let's look at the second perspective, community collaboration. About 50% of the 5,000 general volunteers are students. In Okayama, volunteering is encouraged as part of the high school curriculum. From the organizers' perspective, the goal is to give students a chance to contribute, create social impact, and help build a sense of community and pride in their town. To achieve this, organizers intentionally assign students to interactive roles such as aid station and finish line support, where they can directly communicate with runners, see the impact of their contribution, and often reflect positively on their experience. In Japan, there are neighborhood-based community associations. They also support the marathon by managing safety along the coast as volunteers. Through participation in events like the marathon, residents form new connections within the community and develop a stronger sense of regional unity. However, Japan faces population decline and an aging society. Most active members of community associations are elderly, and securing volunteers is becoming more difficult. Encouraging younger generation to participate will be an important challenge for the future, both for marathon management and for sustainable community development. Building stronger local connection is one way to tackle this challenge. The marathon also recognizes community-led related events as official collaborative programs. Approved events can use the program's name, incorporated illustration of the event mascot, and are promoted on the official website. Example includes shopping street discounts and CPR and AED workshop and plugging events where participants jog while picking up litter along parts of the marathon, and university seminars. These initiatives show that the marathon is more than just a one-day event, but an ongoing community project deeply woven into the community. Lastly, the marathon also collaborates with students, local groups, and NPOs. High school calligraphy works are displayed at the venue and is the background image of this slide. Along the course, runners are cheered on by various groups such as dance team, bands, cheerleaders, and taiko drummers. The entire community supports runners throughout the 42 kilometers course, and for participants, these activities provide opportunity to experience the joy of performing, being seen, and contributing to the event. For organizers, they enhance the overall race atmosphere and encourage broader community engagement. To summarize, sustainable community development relies on strong local cooperation. When governments organize major events, involving the community and growing the event together is essential. External recognition, such as high evaluations, not only enhances the region's image, but also fosters pride and motivation among everyone involved. Visible recognition can even contribute to regional revitalization, building stronger long-term community engagement. By now, I hope you have become interested in the Okayama Marathon. So let me introduce the detail for this year. It will be held on 8 November 2026 and feature both a full marathon and a fun run. Application is open on 16 April, and detail on how to apply will announced soon. For those traveling from Australia, Okayama can be reached via Tokyo's Haneda Airport or Kansai International Airport in Osaka with convenient onward connections. I hope you will have the opportunity to join the Okayama Marathon and experience the unique charm of Okayama for yourself. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Nina, for your presentation. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Brandon Shipley, who serves both as manager of events and tourism and director of the Parks Elvis Festival for the Parkshire Council. He will now present on the festival. Please welcome Brandon to the stage.
Get up here. Like my friend Carol, I need to do this when I talk and go all the way up to the top. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for having me. My name is Brendan Shipley. I'll just go to my slide there. There we go. I am the Manager of Events and Tourism for the Parkshire Council, and I also have the privilege of being the Director for the Parks Elvis Festival. And thank you again for the opportunity to speak here today. Thank you to UTS and the CLAIR Forum as well for having me. Just as I jump in, a little bit about me, because I think that's always good to get to know the person that you're actually speaking to before I go into this long story about the Parks Elvis Festival and kind of where that came from. My name is Brendan Shipley. I have over 25 years experience in the entertainment industry. It's a long time. I think we're coming up to 30, but we won't talk about that. My experience stands across in tour management as an executive producer, a director and a promoter working across live theatre, touring productions, festivals and major destination events. My career began as a performer, as so many of us do, in the industry and evolved into full-scale tour and production management, delivering productions ranging from the intimate to regional seasons to large-scale national tours and festivals. I'm recognised for my professionalism, strategic leadership, and the ability to bring clarity and confidence in those complex, high-pressure environments. Perfect. So we're actually going to stay on the one slide for the whole thing and get everything in one go. I know it's the end of the day, so I'm going to try and keep it brief, but let's strap in. So I've got a story to tell you all. I want to share you a story that begins in a small regional town in the heart of New South Wales, a town approximately 5 hours west from Sydney. On the map, if you were to go to Bathurst first, then Orange, then you come into a town called Parkes. It's a town that dared to take a quirky idea and turn it into one of Australia's most successful cultural events. It's a story of the Parks Elvis Festival, but more importantly, it's a story of what can happen when a community believes in itself, it works together, and embraces the creativity as a pathway to economic and social resilience. This case study is not about an event, it's about community identity, economic diversification, and the power of regional Australia to shape its own future through tourism. And it's a reminder that sometimes that the most transformative ideas begin not with a strategy document, but with the spark of the imagination. The Parks Elvis Festival began in 1992 with a simple idea from Bob and Ann Steele, the owners of the Gracelands restaurant. They decided to host a small Elvis-themed birthday party celebration. It was never intended to become a major event. It was simply a fun way to bring people together in the quiet summer period of January. Around 200 to 300 people attended the first gathering. There were no grand plans. They had zero marketing budget, no government strategies. It was just the community willing to try something different. Little fun fact, I'm going to deviate from my speech, but Ann Steele, who's still with us and lives in Parkes and very much a part of the festival itself with her husband Bob, she used to bake lamingtons to fund the festival. We're coming from those origins. I keep trying to convince her to still bake them, but she says no. So she's busy doing everything else for the festival. So I'll get her in 27 though. She's going to have to do it for me because I have never tasted one before. What's remarkable is how quickly the idea took hold. Locals embraced it, businesses joined in, and volunteers stepped forward. The festival grew not because someone told the community it should, but because the community wanted to. This is the foundation of the Parks Elvis Festival, a grassroots idea that resonated deeply with local people, giving them something to celebrate, something to own, and something to build together. In the early years of the festival, it was held in the middle of summer, traditionally the quietest time for Parkes. Many businesses struggled through January. Tourism was minimal. The town needed something to spark and energy, and they needed to bring the people in. The festival became that spark, and it happened really, really quickly. Local shop owners decorated their windows with Elvis memorabilia, residents sewed costumes, volunteers cooked meals, and still sold tickets and set up makeshift stages. The festival was held in community halls, pubs, and even in the street. It was messy and it was joyful, but it was wonderfully homemade. And the authenticity mattered. Visitors didn't just come for Elvis, they came for the feeling of being welcomed into a community that was genuinely just having fun. This is an important lesson for everybody. Authenticity is a competitive advantage in a world full of polished commercial events. Parkes offered something completely real. Fast forward to today, and the Parks Elvis Festival is a 5-day celebration featuring more than 200 events. It attracts over 28,000 visitors, yet to receive the numbers for last festival, so we're hoping that has gone up. And it more than doubles the town's population. It has been endorsed by Gracelands in America, recognised by EPE, which is Elvis Presley Enterprises overseas, and it is one of the largest, I argue that it is the largest, We have just pipped over America now. It is the largest celebration of Elvis across the globe. But despite its scale, the festival has never lost its community heart. Volunteers still run key activations within the festival. Local groups manage events, stalls, logistics. Schools, service clubs and charities use the festival as major fundraising opportunities. Residents decorate their homes, they dress up, they welcome visitors with genuine country hospitality, even into their homes. The Airbnb at time in terms of the festival, it's crazy. So we've got so much there. If you want to experience a real country home, please come to us. This balance of professional event management supported by deep community involvement is really rare. Many events lose their authenticity as they grow. Parks has managed to grow while staying true to its origins. The festival, still, at its core, is a community celebration. I want to take a moment to talk about our volunteers. Our volunteers are the backbone of the Parks Elvis Festival. They are the reason the event has been able to scale without losing its soul. Volunteers, they do many things. They manage our venues, they run competitions, they coordinate parades, they support performers, they work in our staff information booths, they help with traffic, logistics, safety, they welcome visitors to the train station, if you've ever heard of the Elvis Express. If not, you will by the end of this. And they bring the unmistakable warmth, I believe, that defines the festival experience. I walk in with all my experience from all these years, but nothing beats what they bring to the festival. And I think that's what makes it such a wonderful synergy. Many volunteers have been involved for decades, and I mean decades. They have been there. Some take annual leave from work just to help. Others bring their children and their grandchildren, just passing on the tradition. Volunteering is not just about labour, it's about ownership. When people volunteer, they feel connected, they feel proud, they feel responsible for the festival's success. The sense of ownership is one of the festival's greatest strengths. One of the most powerful aspects of the Parks Elvis Festival is the ability to marry financial benefits with community participation. It's a model where economic value and social value reinforce each other. For example, during the festival, local job creation, the festival generates seasonal employment across hospitality, retail, accommodation, transport, event services for many businesses. And this is usually their busiest time of year and profitable time, so it's very important to harness that. Volunteer-driven fundraising occurs. Community groups from Rotaries to school P&Cs use the festival to raise thousands of dollars, and these funds continually support local programs, equipment and services after the festival ends. Local pubs, cafes, motels experience a surge in trade. Many rely on the festival week to carry through quieter periods. Visitors spend on fuel, groceries, tours and local attractions. The money stays in the region, supporting jobs and strengthening the local economy. The festival is not just an event. It's an economic engine that benefits the entire community. The Parks Elvis Festival has achieved something extraordinary for a regional event. It has global recognition that it attracts visitors from across Australia and overseas. Over 30% of the people that visit parks for the Elvis Festival in January over the 5-day period are international guests. It receives national and international media coverage. We have now officially, as of the other day, received our stats. We have over 260 million hits across social media and the internet just for that period of the Parks Elvis Festival, which is absolutely amazing. It's become a signature event in the New South Wales tourism calendar. It positions parks and the region as a vibrant, creative and welcoming destination. The level of exposure is invaluable. It builds brand identity, it attracts new visitors and elevates parks far beyond, or parks and the Shire, I should say, far beyond what a town of its size might normally achieve. And just for context, our town is around 15,000 people. The New South Wales Government recognises this significance by naming the festival as a foundation event, acknowledging its contribution to tourism, economic development and cultural vibrancy. The festival has had a ripple effect across the region. It's encouraged investment in accommodation, hospitality and tourism infrastructure. It's inspired other events and creative initiatives across the region. It's strengthened partnership between councils, not just our own, but other councils as well, which is something that we are very much fostering right now, businesses and other community groups. It has helped attract new residents who want to live in a vibrant, culturally active town. More than this, the festival has become a symbol of what Parks stands for: creativity, resilience, and at the heart, its community spirit. Why though? Why do events like these matter for sustainable living and thriving communities? The Parks Elvis Festival is more than a celebration of Elvis Presley. It's a blueprint for how regional communities can build sustainable futures through creativity, collaboration, and local leadership. It diversifies the economy, it strengthens social cohesion, it reinforces identity, it encourages long-term planning, and it builds resilience. In a time where many regional towns face challenges from workforce shortages and climate pressures, events like the festival show what is possible when a community invests in its own creativity and its spirit. I want to touch base on some lessons for some other regional communities. The success of the festival over 33 years offers valuable lessons for other towns and anyone looking at this platform and wanting to duplicate that. I'd love to help, just say. Start with the idea that reflects local passion. Build community ownership from the beginning and never lose it. Celebrate what makes your town unique. Balance professional management with volunteer involvement. Reinforce the event's identity year after year. Ensure benefits flow back into the community. Plan for growth without losing the authenticity. And this model works because it's built on the people, on their creativity, on their pride, and their willingness to contribute. There's a human side to the festival I want to touch base on just before I wrap up. Beyond the numbers and the economic impact, the Parks Elvis Festival has created something even more powerful. It's called connection. Visitors return year after year, not only just for the music, but for the feeling of being welcomed into a community. Volunteers create traditions. The festival becomes a shared experience that strengthens the social fabric of the town. The human element is what makes the festival sustainable. It's not driven by profit. It's driven by pride, belonging, and pure joy. That was the buzzword that I used a couple of years ago when I was interviewed for the first time. They said, how do you describe the festival? And after being there for 5 days and seeing 200 events and all these shows, it's like, whoa, what is this? And it's just pure joy is exactly what it is. Now, I can just say that, but you have to come and see it because that's exactly what that is. Parks Elvis Festival began with a dream and a community willing to bring that dream to life. Today, it stands as a shining example of how cultural events like this can drive economic vitality, strengthen social bonds, and create sustainable, thriving communities that expand through our tourism offerings. It proves that when people come together and volunteers, businesses, councils, and visitors, remarkable things can happen. It reminds all of us that sometimes the most powerful economic engines begin not with a business plan, but with a passion, imagination, and willingness to follow that dream. So in the essence of that and the Parks Elvis Festival, I'm sure you go away now and do a bit of Googling and see what all this is about. But just to give you a little bit of a pitch for the 2027 Parks Elvis Festival, which we have already launched into, we have our #1 Elvis tribute artist, Dean Z, returning in 2027. And for the first time ever in this country and across the world, we will bring a 50-piece orchestra with him and we'll play to a new arena style concept. So we'd love to obviously see you there for that one. So if you haven't booked your ticket, please do, and come and visit Parks, visit the Shire, visit the region, experience firsthand the wonder of this beautiful town located in the heart of central New South Wales. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nina and Brandon. We will now have a 15-minute Q&A session. Please feel free to ask any questions relating to any of the presentations you have heard today. Once again, for those participating via Zoom, please feel free to submit any questions you have using the webinar's Q&A feature. We will do our best to address them after responding to questions from the floor. Zoom でご参加の方は、ウェビナーの Q&A 機能を使ってご質問をお送りください。会話からのご質問にお答えした後に、できる限り皆様のご質問にも対応いたします。So does anyone have any questions?
Before we begin with the questions, Dan sends his apologies. He had to leave the meeting, unfortunately, due to a council meeting. But any questions for anyone else?
Thank you both for your presentation. A question for you, Brandon. You talked about the importance, or you both actually talked about, this is a change of my mind, it's for both of you, about the importance of volunteers. I'm just wondering, because we've encountered this with other projects, if you have any strategies you use to keep volunteers involved and keep them coming back and make them feel valued apart from just the intrinsic benefits of volunteering?
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. I can answer that for you. The volunteer platform, it is tricky. It is tricky to manage. The best way I have found with this project as an example is that engagement and that involvement. It involves regular monthly meetings leading up to the festival, ensuring that the channels are open for them to be heard. Our volunteers in terms of this project are the ones that have been here for 33 years almost. A lot of them have been here for the whole time. So we use them definitely as a resource for that. I think also the human element comes into it as well. Sometimes when you're a volunteer, especially at this size of festival, it becomes very transactional because you need a lot of them in one space. We take the time for it to be very personal with them. So when we have a meeting, we go all out, we do the catering thing, we sit down, we have a chat, we ask everyone how they are. I think that's super important when you're doing stuff like this. Communication is always key with volunteers and with anything of a project of this size or whatever you do, I suppose. But we constantly send them information and they're invited to contribute information back, good, bad, or ugly. Sometimes the ugly definitely goes in there and you have to be willing to stand up and take it. Volunteers are very passionate about what they do and what they have provided in the past. The other thing that you need to be aware of with volunteers, and again, anything across a project that's run for a period of time, is that change is inevitable. You need to be prepared to walk them through change and explain the reasons as to why and the features and benefits of that. After that long-winded response I just gave you, communication is key for that.
Hi there. I hope someone's got a more positive question after mine. I am interested in, three of you spoke of a major event that you're using as your branding at a prefecture or city level. I'm interested to know how, as council in your respective cities and prefectures, how you balance that single event with other community expectations for what about our festival, what about this? Like, I'm interested how you balance it. And my other downer question is, how do you balance the community members who aren't 100% behind not having access to their bridge or having to clear their cars for the marathon or whatever goes on in parks because of the scale of the event? So interested about the honeypot of a single event, and then the community, how you balance that with community members who aren't 100% behind these very positive initiatives.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just quickly answer that on my behalf because that is extremely relevant against this project. I came in to work for the council on this project approximately about 2 years ago, and that was very evident. The Park Service Festival is given, it's up here in terms of the priority level. And there are 360 other days of the year. So as soon as we started changing that language and applying the same level of organisation to our community events, that's when the conversation and the reaction started to change. Community events, from my perspective, they were kind of sat to the right or to the left of a major project. It's when we applied that level of planning and intent to it, that's how we kind of got it across. That's how we manage it anyway, from our perspective. For me, when I manage my teams, the Elvis Festival, as an example, is something that attracts 30,000 people to the region. You should treat your community events as if it's going to do the same thing with the same level of detail. Sorry, what was the other part of your question?
We can come back to that if there isn't, because the second one's a down.
Oh,
Nina, what about you? How do you balance the one event with the rest of the year?
Okay, thank you for your question. Okayama Marathon is organized by Okayama Prefecture and Okayama City, so it is a little easy to understand from city council. But marathon forced to heavy traffic district. Organizer makes traffic map and informed citizen. Yeah.
So they're prepared, they are prepared for the negatives for the shops or whatever, you let them know, yeah.
If my about 1 month ago, but how should I put this? And had a 開催日は1秒以内。
So they are announcing the marathons day year before, and then also they are announcing the traffic information 1 month before the marathon starts. So they're giving information before the events, of course, and then they are collaborating. The prefecture government is also working with the Okayama City Council. They have a close connection, so it's very easy to understand from the local community and the prefecture government, because the local government was always say like manage the local communities. Yeah.
And maybe Brian, how do you balance your major event with the rest of the year, and how does the community handle that big single event versus all the rest of the year?
So just to confirm, you were asking about how we balance the event and residents' understanding.
Yes, and the draw of one very high profile event and the other community events through the year. How does the prefecture balance those two demands?
I see. Okay, thank you for your question. So as I said, the Cycling Shimanami is a flagship event in Shimanami area. And of course, there are so many events. So I think the role of Cycling Shimanami is branding, strong branding. And through the event, the recognition of Shimanami area will be increasing. And thanks to that recognition, many people visit any other events. So yeah, what I want to say is Shimanami Kaido, a flagship event, is increasing, building the branding and recognition, and it boosts the visiting, increasing visitor.
In other times of the year.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian.
Does anyone have any other questions?
Thank you. My name is Iba and I work here at IPPG. I think we've heard a couple of times about leveraging something that might have been incidental, like the party that sort of blossomed, or an existing piece of infrastructure to, like Carol mentioned before, leverage into something that recurs and really brings people to the region and can bring up other opportunities. But for places and councils that don't maybe experience something as obvious or that gains momentum as quickly, what are some themes that you might look for in choosing something to hone in on or put more effort into to develop in terms of something that might be sustainable and be repeatable on a year-on-year basis for maybe opportunities that don't pick up, for example, momentum as quickly as something like the party that grows incidentally or organically? How would you look to decide on something that you'd want to put resources into?
Thank you so much for that question. It's It's an interesting one. The Elvis Festival, as I speak of it, it's 33 years in the making. So it's grown over such a long time. And to be very frank, it's such a random concept to have someone who's a fan of an Elvis Presley fan and it's turned into something like that. It's a concept of if someone was a fan of Pokemon and then all of a sudden it just turned into they threw a party and off we kind of go. I think the answer to your question is throwing it back to your community and what the values are within your town to develop a concept for yourself. We have another sister, not a festival. It's an event that happens within parks, and it was grown from we're an agricultural community, and we never had something to kind of bolster that through. We didn't even have like a Sunday markets or anything like that, and we now have an event that happens every couple of months called Homegrown, where people bring their home cooked goods and things like that all together to the center of town, to Cook Park, where we hold the Elvis Festival as well. And we all exchange goods and services, crops get exchanged, jams, jellies, cakes, and things like that. Food trucks turn up. It's a big thing, and it's fantastic. But again, that was just formed from an idea where the community, there was a need there for something different and something where the agricultural community could connect. I think you find what you need in the town. What you need communication, you need connection. Your young people need somewhere to go and something to do at night. Like, what is it? There's got to be something that sits there. And the second thing you do from that is if you don't have the skill set within your town, you engage professionals to come in and help bolster that. And the good professionals will come in and go, okay, well, what have the community said? They'll do community consultation with you first, and then they'll help you develop the idea around that. I find it always works if you connect it back to the community and where the town has come from. That's something we're doing in parks as well. There are facets of the park shire and the community that no one really knows about. Something I find very fascinating about parks is that it was built on a gold mine, but we actually do nothing in our tourism plan at this current stage prior to my tenure to tap into that history. So that's just hopefully that gives you a few more ideas, but I'm happy to connect with yourself after this and we can keep chatting on that as well. Thank you. So.
Ryan, you say something?
No, it's fine.
The last time I asked about government coming on board and helping, but all of these projects also rely on businesses. Discount for businesses offering discount for marathon runners, being involved in the partnerships. So I'm interested in how you get businesses to be excited about being part of this and how you explain the benefit for a business to be joining into the project. Just any things that you've done to really make that work.
When they're thinking things. This is not official perspective. It's my opinion. But in my opinion, as I said, the role of government role is creating momentum, and we created so many initiatives, including subsidies, and yeah, so it's a benefit for private sectors to get subsidies so they can buy, for example, we offer subsidies about buying bicycle for private sector, which would like to start a rental cycle project. So yeah, it's a really good strategy for attracting private investment. Yeah. So yeah. So we show there are so many there are so many benefit if you invest in human having. So yeah, I think it's one of the answers.
Thank you for your question. And on my Hokuto's project, local businesses gain fresh ideas from students, and and some products continue selling after the project. So it is maybe benefits. Yes, the benefits.
Thank you for your question. Speaking of Okayama Marathon, for example, the items of aid station along the course provided by local company. So organizers ask them to cooperate and provide. And another example, finisher medal is also provide by local crafter. Yeah.
I just wanted to touch base on that one as well. From our perspective, in terms of business involvement and getting them engaged in a project like the Parks Elvis Festival, there's two aspects to it. The festival itself brings in $15 million into the region. It makes financial sense for them to be involved as much as possible. But every single year we have a particular theme that we pick for the festival. Last year was Love Me Tender. The next festival is Elvis on Tour, to go with the big grand production that we're doing. So they'll receive a business activation kit, posters and digital assets that they can incorporate into their shop fronts or into their websites and things like that, to encourage them to be a part of it. The other thing that we do seems pretty simple, but it works. You actually put the festival right at their front door. So we are very lucky in terms of the geographical location of parks and the way that it's set up, that we can set the festival just doesn't exist in the park. It expands itself right up the main street of the town, all the way up to the end where you've got your local Woolworths and your petrol stations and things like that, all the way up to the northern end of town and right down the main street. And you're talking hundreds of different businesses and stuff like that. So we put stages through there, seating, there's lighting that happens. So it invites people to stay open and be a part of it. There's that old saying, if you build it, they will come, and they definitely do it. It just kind of organically happens. Does every business participate? No. They don't. A lot of businesses do. And just back to your point on, the Parks Elvis Festival doubles the population in size. That's annoying for people that live in a small country town. Like, how do you manage that? Half the town does empty out. They empty out and they go on holiday somewhere else, and they'll rent their houses out from an Airbnb service, and which is great as well. But equally, we would love them to stay and embrace us. But it's been going for 33 years. If you've been to the same festival for 33 years, you too would also be like, you know what, I can kind of go just for a year or two and have a bit of a break. And I think it's also giving those, the people that live in our town a bit of a break where that's concerned. Absolutely. And encourage that. Do you know what I mean? The festival's growing. We don't have a Mantra, a Hilton. We have none of that out in parks. We rely on our local accommodation providers to get us over the line. And having 30,000 people in your town that's only built for 15,000, well, when we're only, under 500 rooms available, caravan and camping is obviously very popular, and that we use the land for that. But it's a logistical challenge. There's a balance there. You know what I mean? the Parks Elvis Festival is run by the council. We can't inject ourselves into the pricing that happens in terms of our motels and hotels and stuff like that. That's very tricky to navigate. So we do good with the things that we have control of, and the things that we don't, we be open and communicative about that. But we do the things that we're good at, type of thing. Communication, again, in that piece is always important. We let people know in advance when the festival is actually going to happen. Traffic closures, which we mention those well in advance as well. But yeah, it's no easy feat, but it's definitely kind of all worth it in the end.
Question. I was reflecting on something that Daniel said earlier, how the investment in tourism brings people to the area and it decreased migration and buffers. In those areas, for those of you who have major events, have you noticed an increase in migration because of these like spotlight events on your areas?
Absolutely. I can just speak on behalf of Parks. I am a victim of that statistic. So I came into Parks with the contract and then I kind of loved it so much that I moved my whole family there from Brisbane. So again, if you're looking for that country life where you wake up in the morning and you hear the birds and stuff like that and the sun's rising and it's fresh air, that's kind of the town that I live in. So absolutely, the festival itself is a tourism product at the end of the day, and it promotes the town incredibly well. And we always see an uplift in people from all walks of life, whether it be local, national, or international, that do come back and they come to live in Parks, not just for the festival, for everything else that it kind of has to offer. I was speaking to a couple of people before. Don't get me wrong, we have a Coles and an Aldi and a Woolworths. We're not that separated. We just don't have a Westfields or any other major shopping centre like that. We have to travel for those types of things. But people come to Parks and they realise, oh, I can actually have a life without those things. And you get home it's absolutely lovely. You get home on a Friday and everyone's coming home on a Friday and everyone has the weekend. And that's just kind of how it is, you know. The shops close at a certain time. It's back the old school types of ways, and it's just lovely. And we love having our interstate and international visitors return, and more of that is definitely happening where we are.
Thank you very much for your question and answering to the question. Unfortunately, the time is for closing. So.
We'll just close the Q&A session here due to some time restrictions, but thank you to all of our presenters and everyone for your questions today. I would now like to invite Carol to the stage to provide a summary of today's forum. Please join me in welcoming her to the stage.
Thank you. I will be relatively brief because Daniel did a brilliant job of summarising my notes taken from each of the sessions about what has made these things successful. The clarity of their purpose, really clear about enabling the community. So these are very much case studies about how to strengthen the community by building pride, building confidence, and also just building awareness, people coming in and realising what a valuable community it is, whether they come for an event or whether they have been, as students, had their eyes open to about how special the place they live in is I think a really strong message. We've also heard about the fact that it needs to be a partnership, that it's everybody working together, not, as Edwina said, not everyone, perhaps not 100% of every citizen, but citizens valuing what it brings to their town and wanting to be part of it, businesses seeing that their business can grow and actually benefit from events and from outside investment. And it really importantly, because we have a very strong government focus in our work, but that government acts as a catalyst. It makes these things happen. It brings the parties together. It stimulates the activities, but it also does that sometimes by design. And we've heard about some examples where it's quite a deliberate event like the marathon, but sometimes by picking up the opportunity that's happening in a town and making something of that. The bridges weren't built for that purpose. The restaurateurs started the festival, but somebody has taken that opportunity, turned it into an opportunity for more of the community. And really, I guess the other message we've heard here is these things are sustainable. The effort has to be ongoing. It's not just a one-off event. All of these examples have been about running for several years, and working in partnership for a long period of time takes effort. And I think the fact that we've seen really extreme case studies of the building pride, building capacity, building confidence and building awareness are all being really valuable today. And also, just to remind everybody, we can cycle in October and stay on in Japan and run in November. We've got plenty of time for the festival. And obviously, after we've done those events, we can then have a lot of blueberries and other fruit when you're traveling. And as a cross-country example, I was thinking about the lamingtons, which are a very Australian product. Have you all had lamingtons? So I think of them as the absolute quintessential cake of Australia. But in my street where I live, we have Tokyo Lamington, which is a Japanese company who has taken the traditional lamington and given it a Japanese flavour. And it is an extremely successful product. And I have to kind of wend my way around the footpath because there are always so many people queued up. So practical partnerships and sharing ideas happens in so many different ways. And we've had some great examples today. So thank everybody for your time. Thanks everyone for listening. And we'll have a short perhaps photo opportunity and finish our drinks. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, Carol, for your summary. I would now like to invite everyone here today to come to the front for a brief photo. For our participants joining us via Zoom, we will now be moving on to the end of our session here and move into the networking event. So you're welcome to leave the meeting at this point if you wish. Thank you all for your participation today. For our guest presenters and our co-host Carol, we have small tokens of appreciation to thank you for your wonderful presentations and assistance today. And I'd just like to thank everyone today for your contributions. I hope this forum has enhanced your understanding of what sustainable and thriving communities are across Australia and Japan. I would now like to officially close the 2026 CLAIR Forum. On behalf of CLAIR Sydney, thank you all for your wonderful ideas, participation and engagement today. Have a wonderful evening.